And the winner is Peter Falk, Columbo.
In 1973, a script arrived at NBC that could have shocked the nation. It featured Columbo facing a killer with no motive, just pure, unsettling evil. But NBC panicked. They shelved it, claiming it was too dark. The truth behind why it stayed hidden for 50 years? That's a far more disturbing story. Let's rewind. In the early 1960s, a writers' strike paralyzed Hollywood. Struggling writers Richard Levinson and William Link spotted a loophole. Live TV wasn't affected. They quickly wrote a mystery called Enough Rope for the Chevy Mystery Show. It was messy and rushed. They even tricked their agent to sell it. But in that chaos, something special emerged. A quirky, unassuming detective named Columbo. They drew inspiration from Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, specifically the clever detective Porfiry Petrovich. Instead of the usual whodunit, they revealed the killer up front. The suspense came from watching Columbo, with his odd habits and sharp mind, slowly close in. Audiences loved it. But the first Columbo wasn't Peter Falk. It was Bert Freed in a 1960 live broadcast. He was solid, but the magic hadn't arrived yet. In 1962, Enough Rope became a stage play, Prescription Murder, starring Thomas Mitchell. It didn't make Broadway, and sadly, it was Mitchell's final role before his death. Everything changed in 1968 when NBC made Prescription Murder into a TV movie, this time with Peter Falk. And that's when Columbo truly came to life. Peter Falk wasn't the first pick for Columbo. Lee J. Cobb and Bing Crosby both passed on the role. But Falk brought something special, a quirky charm mixed with laser-sharp intensity that redefined the character. In his first outing, Columbo wasn't yet the rumpled detective we'd come to love. His hair was tidy, his suit crisp, but that famous raincoat made its debut. Falk had bought it for $15 during a rainy day in New York. It stuck and became iconic. That coat wasn't random. It came from a luxury Spanish brand, though Falk didn't care. It just felt right. He even brought his own wardrobe to set. Shoes, suits, and Columbo's beat-up Peugeot, all Falk's picks. His personal touch gave Columbo authenticity. He didn't feel scripted. He felt real. Falk blurred the line between performance and manipulation. He'd improvise, pause mid-sentence, or fumble for a pencil. It wasn't clumsy, it was calculated, and it rattled the on-screen killers perfectly. Then came the line, "Just one more thing." It wasn't planned. Levinson and Link added it to stretch a scene, but it stuck, becoming the catchphrase that often sealed the killer's fate. Even Columbo's name was a mystery. Fans sometimes glimpsed Frank Columbo on his badge, but the creators kept his first name unofficial. When an author invented Philip Columbo for a legal trap, even Trivial Pursuit got fooled and sued. He lost, but the legend lived on. Even in personal moments, like his nephew's wedding, he was simply Lieutenant. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, casting each killer was a challenge. Dozens of actors were considered for every episode, and the bar was set high. At one point, the team even considered icons like Orson Welles and Peter Sellers, but Sellers' steep salary demands took him out of the running. Falk himself vetoed a few names, like Danny Kaye, with no explanation. Back in 1971, when Columbo was taking shape, NBC executives were nervous. TV had strict rules: show the hero fast or risk losing the audience. But Levinson and Link weren't interested in playing it safe. They did the unthinkable. Columbo didn't appear until nearly 30 minutes into the episode. Executives panicked. It was the longest hero delay in TV history. But that bold move rewrote the rulebook. Instead of a traditional whodunit, Columbo flipped the formula. The audience saw the murder right away. Every detail of the killer's plan was laid bare. The tension came from watching Columbo. Quiet, disarming, pick it all apart. No guns, no car chases, just questions, logic, and sharp observation. A wine glass here, a thermostat there. But under all that, the show was also about class. Columbo wasn't rich. He wore the same wrinkled coat, drove a junky car, smoked cheap cigars. Meanwhile, his suspects were surgeons, CEOs, generals, the elite. And Columbo? He never treated them with reverence. In fact, he made them squirm. He'd casually mention his wife's knockoff version of their priceless art, just to see their pride crack. The message was clear. Nobody's above the law, no matter how polished they look. Not everyone was a fan of Columbo's unconventional style. After a few episodes, NBC tried to force changes. They wanted Columbo to appear earlier and demanded a more traditional approach. But Levinson, Link, producer William Finnerman, and Peter Falk stood firm. They threatened to quit rather than compromise the show's unique essence. It was a bold move, but it paid off. Viewers loved it. Ratings skyrocketed, and the network had to back off. From the premiere on September 15, 1971, Columbo proved it was something completely fresh. Initially part of NBC's mystery movie lineup, Columbo quickly outshone its competitors. Falk's performance became the heart of the show. That first season, his portrayal earned him an Emmy, with 4 more wins and a Golden Globe to follow. Falk's messy charm and quiet precision made Columbo unforgettable. He didn't need flash, just his iconic line, "Just one more thing," and suddenly the killer's facade would shatter. The show's rotating format allowed for longer episodes, up to 90 minutes, giving writers room to build tension and develop characters. It felt more like a movie than a TV show, so much so that NBC moved it to Sunday nights, where it dominated the ratings. Columbo became more than a hit. It was a primetime staple. But its influence didn't stop at the US. It became a global sensation, syndicated in 44 countries. In Hungary, fans even built a statue of Columbo. In Romania, viewers were so upset when it ended that Falk recorded a special message to reassure them it wasn't censored. It had simply run its course. Decades later, the BBC still called it timeless. Columbo's quiet determination, sense of justice, and the joy of seeing arrogant criminals undone resonated with audiences worldwide. Then there were the guest stars. Columbo turned catching killers into a star-studded event. Jack Cassidy appeared 3 times. William Shatner and Patrick McGoohan both made memorable appearances, with McGoohan even winning Emmys for his roles. Leonard Nimoy, Robert Culp, and Martin Landau all brought their talent to the table, with Landau playing twin killers in one unforgettable episode. The show became a showcase for top talent. Behind the scenes, Columbo attracted greatness, too. A young Steven Spielberg directed the first regular episode, quickly impressing everyone. But Peter Falk knew Spielberg's talent was too big for Columbo. Then, in 1973, something strange happened. Director Brian De Palma, known for his disdain of TV, submitted an episode script for Columbo. De Palma had just released Sisters, a Hitchcock-inspired thriller, but Columbo had impressed him. He teamed up with film critic Jay Cox and submitted the script under a fake name, Joseph P. Gillis, a cheeky reference to Sunset Boulevard. This came during a writer's strike, and Columbo was desperate for content. De Palma, who usually avoided TV, saw something unique in the show. The result? A wild episode. The plot: a filmmaker named Quentin Lee, inspired by figures like Truman Capote, murders a talk show host and films the entire thing, claiming it's the perfect crime, motiveless and artistic. Lee picks his victim by throwing a dart at a list of celebrities, calling them public zircon, fake diamonds. He then turns the murder into a documentary, including Columbo himself in the footage. Without his knowledge, things get meta fast. There are even 3 students following Columbo with cameras, one named Spielberg. Yes, a wink to the real Steven Spielberg, who had already directed for the show. But timing was tricky. The writers' strike had left Columbo behind, and producers needed quicker scripts. De Palma's episode, packed with visual tricks, was too complex for the tight schedule. Meanwhile, Stephen J. Cannell's Double Exposure, a quicker and more straightforward script, was easier to shoot. The producers liked De Palma's script, but didn't have the time or resources. Though De Palma's Columbo script never materialized, some ideas, like the film student angle, resurfaced in Mind Over Mayhem. The main issue was tone. De Palma's villain, who saw murder as an artistic experiment, clashed with Columbo's usual focus on clear, selfish motives like money or revenge. His detached, intellectual villain didn't fit the cozy vibe of Columbo. Producers feared audiences wouldn't connect with such a chilling character, and De Palma's unsettling themes of surveillance and blurred reality were too dark for the show. Even John Lithgow was considered for the lead, but was deemed too intimidating. Eventually, De Palma's script was shelved. In 1992, Columbo took a drastic turn with No Time to Die, which began with a kidnapping rather than a murder. Columbo wielded a gun and raced against time, dividing fans. Some called it bold, others the worst episode. The show continued experimenting. In 1989, Murder, Smoke, and Shadows went overboard with theatrics, featuring a parody of Spielberg and Columbo on a waterbed. It was more comedy than mystery, but fans later defended it. That same year, Murder, a self-portrait, featured surreal dream sequences and Columbo unraveling repressed memories, leaving a lasting impression despite a confusing plot. In Columbo Likes the Nightlife, 2003, the detective was thrust into the 21st century, complete with nightclubs and neon lights. Some fans liked the modern twist, but others missed the classic style. Peter Falk's directorial debut in 1972, Blueprint for Murder, was uneven, and after pacing issues and a distracted performance, Falk never directed another episode. In 2003, Universal began work on Columbo's Last Case, but ABC rejected it due to Falk's age. International funding attempts also failed, and the project stalled. In 2007, Falk was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and by 2011, he passed away, leaving the final episode unwritten. Falk's dedication to Columbo was unmatched. He brought his own clothes, crafted the character's mannerisms, and insisted on perfection, making Columbo a deeply personal portrayal. While Falk had his moments of tension with others, like blocking Danny Kaye from appearing in an episode, the show was a testament to his careful craft. Over the years, the unique format of Columbo became more challenging for writers, especially as episodes expanded. But, despite this, the show gained new fans, with streaming numbers surging between 2020 to 2023. Columbo's slow pace, anti-elite message, and Falk's brilliance made him an internet sensation. Falk won 5 Emmys for his portrayal, and Columbo remains a masterpiece of clever, understated detective work. People still debate whether Columbo's success was luck or brilliance. Perhaps it was both.